laws of South Sudan. Whatever they do must be within the contract that is authenticated by the Minister of Justice. We have engaged international audit firm to audit African Contractors Company, which has been suspended. We are also going to audit all the companies working with the Civil Aviation Authority, including the Civil Aviation Department of Finance, all to be audited so that we make a report public to ensure that we comply with the instructions of His Excellency, the President of the Republic of South Sudan. We have to comply to ensure that we do the right work to improve our airports, to modernize Juba International Airport, Wau Airport, Malakal Airport, Akon Airport, Rumbek Airport, and all our domestic airports and airstrips across the country.
Sounds of the Week on iRadio, your eye on South Sudan. Live from Juba, on air and online.
This is iRadio News.
Hello, this is iRadio News. First, here are the headlines. Authorities in Awil West County, Northern Bahar Ghazal State, say a boy was killed and 8 others injured after lightning struck a group of children during football game in Gomjor. An advocate has filed a formal complaint to the Football World Governing Body, FIFA, accusing the leadership of South Sudan Football Association of violating its constitution and abusing power. And a visually impaired returnee from Sudan is calling on the unity government to ensure lasting peace in the country to allow for dignified return of refugees. These stories and more are coming to you in this news bulletin with me, Diko Andrew. Now the news in details. Authorities in Awil West County, Northern Bahar Ghazal State, say a boy was killed and 8 others injured after lightning struck a group of children during football game in Gomjor. According to Captain God Akwal, the incident occurred around 5 p.m. yesterday during a heavy rainstorm in Panrob, located in Gomjor, West Payam, Awil West County. Captain Akwal said some of the children were playing football while others had gathered near a hand pump when a lightning struck. He said 9 children were returned unconscious. Sadly, one of them, identified as God Deng God, succumbed to injuries. The remaining 8 have since recovered and reported to be in good health. Captain God Akwal is speaking to iRadio from Awil Town.
This incident happened yesterday at around 5 p.m. in a place called Anyuabjang. Anyuabjang is a boomer of Gomjor West Payam that belongs to Awil West County. Yesterday around 5 we had heavy rain and these people were taking shelter and the lightning struck on them and 9 of them were unconscious. Unfortunately, after a couple of hours, one of them passed on and other 8 recovered. This is what happened. It is a natural disaster and may his soul rest in peace.
Authorities are urging residents to exercise caution during thunderstorms, seek shelter indoors, avoid open space and stay away from water resources and metal objects. An advocate has filed a formal complaint to the Football World Governing Body, FIFA, accusing the leadership of the South Sudan Football Association of violating its constitution and abusing of power. Emmanuel Akile reports in details.
In the petition seen by iRadio, Advocate Musa Hassan Urbano said he was raising the concerns on behalf of football players, fans and stakeholders, expressing appreciation for FIFA's support to South Sudan. Urbano says the SSFA's president, Agostino Madud, has likely undermined good governance in the sport. He alleged that the SSFA failed to adhere to the constitutional procedures for convening the General Assembly, which was initially scheduled for 22nd February 2025. He said the leadership did not send proposed constitutional amendments to the General Secretariat 30 days in advance as required under Article 31, paragraphs 3 and 4. According to Urbano, the SSFA leadership also failed to provide agenda items, financial statements, and other reports 7 days before the scheduled date, which reflects a serious lack of transparency and honesty. Urbano further alleged that the SSFA attempted to manipulate the election process by proposing amendments requiring presidential candidates to be endorsed by at least 6 local football associations. He said the move is aimed at locking out potential contenders. Urbano said in the statement, and I quote, SSFA under leadership of General Agostino Madud Parek planned and proposed a very unfair amendments for the SSFA constitution when they have proposed unfair and unnecessary requirements for any candidates for the position of SSFA president to be seconded by 6 local football associations to make the process more difficult and complicated for any candidates. End quote. Urbano went further to say the leadership had also tried to push the General Assembly to 30th June 2025 without clear justification and seeking to delay elections to August allegedly to extend General Madur's term. The petition also pointed to what it described as premature election campaigns, citing the launch of women's football in Bor, Jonglei State on 6 June 2025 as a campaign actively ahead of the General Assembly. The advocate is now calling on FIFA to intervene and ensure adherence to good governance principles in football. He asked the FIFA to reject the proposed constitutional amendments and postpone the General Assembly until the petition is reviewed. The petitioner is urging FIFA to take urgent action to ensure that football in South Sudan is managed with fairness, integrity, and respect for the rules. This petition comes just one day as the South Sudan Football Association is holding its General Assembly today, 20th June in Juba. iRadio contacted the South Sudan Football Association for a comment, but all calls went unanswered as the association was holding its General Assembly meeting. iRadio will continue to follow up and update this story. Reporting for the news, Emmanuel Joseph Akile.
In another news, a visual impaired returnee from Sudan is calling on the unity government to ensure lasting peace in the country to allow for dignified returnees of refugee. David John Leith says citizens deserve to enjoy the dividend of peace, including job opportunities, education, health, infrastructure, and development. Leith made the remark on the commemoration of World Refugee Day, which is being observed on June 20th of each year. He now lives in the overcrowded Mangaten camp for internally displaced persons in Juba. David struggles daily with a high cost of living, intense heat, and increased inaccessibility of basic service for people with disability. David, who is visually impaired, recalls surviving for days on nothing but tea with sugar before the family embarked on a grueling 28 journey home. Along the way, he and his wife had to hide from armed groups while traveling with their 3 youngest children. They witnessed other men and boys being dragged from vehicles, a constant reminder of the peril they face. Now living in the overcrowded Mangaten camp for internal displaced persons in Juba, David struggled daily with the high cost of living, intense heat, and inaccessible of basic services for people with disability. He spoke to iRadio Dawn Show this very morning.
اليومية صعبة معنا رغم إنه هسه أنا قاعد هنا ده الوجبة ذاتها في اليوم بتاكل بالليل يعني عدم الشغل بس نقول للمسؤولين بتاعنا يا أخي شوفونا شوفوا المواطن قاعد وين مشاكلكم ده خلوه ربنا يوحي قلوبكم نحن هسه هم نعاين لحتة بعيدة بنعاين للزول المسؤول الزول الصغير بعين للزول اللي قدامه يا كبارنا شوفونا وشوفوا المواطن مع اللي هو ساكن شوفوا دربه مع اللي هو ساكن مع اللي هو نايم انت هسه قاعد قدامنا عشان المواطن اذا ما المواطن ما بتكون قاعد قدامنا هتكون قاعد مع منو انا لما جيت يونيتي كان ما بشوفه شافي زي ده بوديني الحمام ما بقدر بمشي اي محل حتى الان انا عيني دي ليه هسه قاعد تدمع هذا المنظمه اللي قاعده تدفع لنا لا يدفع قوات قاعد يدفع لنا للشفعه دي للعيال المنظمه دي هو وداني المستشفى بتاع بولق ذاته هو عمل لي علاج هسه حاليا والله انا بقول لهم نشكرهم عشان ربنا يقدر دراهم يقوم لقدام.
Lieth, a father of 7, is one of the thousands of South Sudanese and other nationals who fled the war in Sudan earlier this year. Lieth, for Light for the World, a disability right NGO, referred to David to an eye clinic where he recently received surgery to improve his vision. His wife, Kate McComb, has also taken steps towards rebuilding their lives. She completed training to launch a small soap-making business and join a local saving group. The World Refugee Day, designed by the United Nations, honor the strength and resilience of people forced to flee their homes due to conflict, persecution, or disaster. In another news as well, the Directorate of Nationality and Passport says it has registered more than 1,000 residents in Western Bahar Ghazal State as part of the campaign to issue nationals ID to undeserved citizens. The initiative, led by Brigadier General Mangar Apeng Peo in partnership with UNHR, aims to support vulnerable population, including individuals from transborder tribes who face difficulties proving their citizenship and are at risk to statelessness. In May 2025, the department dispatched a mobile team of the Directorate of Civil Registry and Nationality, Passports and Immigration Officers and NCOs to Raja County to identify and register affected citizens. The outreach covered remote and border regions including Bor Medina, Payam, Dembjabla, and then Dolobi, then Soba and Demazebir. Payam, where many communities live along the borders of South Sudan and the Central African Republic. This effort has so far triggered an estimated 2,500 individuals living in these underdeserved areas with the goal of helping them obtain official and national IDs and documentations. The Ministry of Trade and Industry has lifted the suspension of the head of the South Sudan National Bureau of Standard a week after she was suspended from duty. Atong Kwalmanyang suspended Gloria Nyoka Joseph last week, accusing her of mismanaging resources, violating procedures, and undermining her authority. In a statement issued on Thursday, and seen by iRadio, Minister Manyang said the Bureau chief could resume her duties, effectively ending the suspension imposed on Friday last week. Another letter signed by Ruth Dibol Adob, the Bureau Director of Administration and Finance, confirmed that Ms. Joseph resumed work on Thursday, June 19, 2025. Dob said this issue that led to Ms. Joseph's suspension were resolved but did not explain how the matter was settled. Last week on Friday, the Trade Minister also suspended the Ministry Under Secretary Achiri John Minyod, accusing him of indiscipline and intimidation. However, President Salva Kiir on Monday this week swapped Mr. Minyod with the Undersecretary of Ministry of Water Resources and Irrigation in what appeared to be a move to ease tensions between the two officials. The South Sudan National Bureau of Standard is the government agency responsible for ensuring safety and quality of goods entering the country. In recent days, the agency has turned back dozens of trucks carrying goods demanded unsafe and of poor quality for consumption. Most of the items were stopped at Numule border point after Bureau conducted a quality test. And in our last news, the spokesperson of the National Parliament says a plan are underway to establish an official website to improve public access to information. Oliver Mori Benjamin said the initiative is being handled by the National Communication Authority, which is also developing website for other government institutions. This comes after a right group call on the National Assembly to establish an official website and Facebook page to improve public access to information and promote transparency in the legislative process. Speaking to iRadio, Benjamin said Parliament will have its website running within a month. According to MP, the responsibility for developing the website does not lay with the Parliament but with the National Communication Authority.
We are also taking steps to ensure that all companies working with
actually this has been taken care of already by the National Communication Authority. They have now set up a site of their own across Gumba, the National Communication Authority headquarters. We have been having series of meetings with them about setting up website for the Parliament, and we found that they have already started that. Not only the Parliament, but all government institutions, parastatals, and so on. For the government institutions, they know. Now the Minister of Finance has that website. They are taking the priority. They are working on it. And the Parliament is on the list. According to them, within a month and so on, this Parliament will be having a website.
He explained that technical challenges including the country's landlocked status, limited electricity and international regulation have contributed to the delay. Mori also cited past limitation related to South Sudan dependency on Sudan before independence, including control over airspace and communication system. You're still listening to iRadio News, and now to the international news with my colleague Losuba Memo.
Thanks, Diko Andrew. On the international arena, U.S. President Donald Trump has said he wants to give negotiations a chance, adding that there is only one track that counts. Diplomatic sources close to the talks in Geneva say European ministers who sit down with Iran's foreign minister Abbas Araghchi today will focus on the U.S. plan. Western governments hope talks scheduled today in Geneva between top European diplomats and Iran's foreign minister Abbas will help to ease the Israel-Iran conflict. Elsewhere, pro-Palestinian activists have broken into Rough Bridge Norton and sprayed two military planes with red paint in a security breach. The Minister of Defense strongly condemned the vandalism of Royal Air Force assets and said it was working closely with the police. Footage posted online by Palestine Action on Friday shows two people inside the Oxfordshire Air Base in darkness, with one riding on a scooter up to the Airbus Voyager air-to-air refueling tankers and appearing to spray paint into its jet engine. Finally, a 12-year-old girl has died and 7 other children have been taken to hospital in an outbreak of severe food poisoning centered around a northern French town. Symptoms began to emerge on 12 June in and around Saint-Quentin, south of Lille, with the children rushed to hospital over the following days. The cause of the outbreak is yet to be identified, as the children aged 1 to 12 are not thought to have mixed in the same groups.
Up next is Sport News with Losuba Memo.
In the world of sport, the South Sudan Football Association is convening its 9th Ordinary General Assembly today in the capital, Juba. The high-level meeting will be presided over by SSFA President General Agustino Maduat Parek alongside his deputy Charles Woodward. As the current leadership term nears its conclusion, the General Assembly is expected to deliberate on key reforms and organizational decisions that will shape the future of South Sudan football. Among the most important items on the agenda are amendments to selected articles in the national football law aimed at aligning the legal framework with current needs and international standards, approval of new voting rights within the General Assembly for important subcommittees and football groups, including Players Committee, Beach Soccer Committee, Football Committee and Funds Committee, as well as Premier League Clubs Committee. South Sudan's national women's football team continues to struggle at the CECAFA Senior Women's Championship 2025, suffering a 4-0 defeat to Kenya in their third group stage match. This latest loss follows 2 earlier defeats: 4-0 loss to host nation Tanzania in the tournament opener and 5-0 loss to Uganda in their second game. With 3 matches played and no goals scored, the Bright Starlets are at the bottom of their group standings, having conceded 13 goals so far. The team now has one final group match remaining against Burundi, where they will be hoping to restore pride and possibly earn their first point of the tournament. Despite the difficult results, the experience marks a valuable exposure opportunity for South Sudan's young and developing women's side on the regional stage. Finally, the NBA Finals will be decided by a winner-takes-all Game 7 for the first time in 9 years after the Indiana Pacers defeated the Oklahoma City Thunder 108-91 in Game 6 to level the series. A fine attacking display from Pacers, which included 20 points for Obi Toppin off the bench, stopped the Thunder from claiming the championship in Indianapolis. His star player Tracy Halliburton, who missed Game 5, with a calf injury passed a late fitness test before tip-off and managed 14 points, 5 assists and 2 steals in 20 minutes of play. That's all in the world of sports. Back to you, Diko D. Andrew.
You're still listening to the news on iRadio, but let's remind you again with what was in the news earlier on. Authorities in Awil West County, Northern Bahar Ghazal State, say a boy was killed and 8 others injured after lightning struck a group of children during a football game in Gomjor. An advocate has filed a formal complaint to the Football World Governing Body, FIFA, accusing the leadership of the South Sudan Football Association of violating its constitution and abusing of power. And a visually impaired returnee from Sudan is calling on the unity government to ensure lasting peace in the country to allow for dignified returnees of refugees. That's the end of iReady News. If there's any story or event you would like iReady to cover or report about, please send us a text message on 0925 28 78 70. It's also our WhatsApp number. Follow us on X, iRadio Juba, like our Facebook page, iRadio, or subscribe to our YouTube channel at iRadio South Sudan. You can also visit our website and listen to us online at www.iradio.org. Stay tuned to the news at Arabic at 1/2 past the hour. I'm Diko Andrew. Thank you for listening.